Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wishwell Farms. Hope you're all doing well today. My name's Jason. I'm up here. So one of the tasks I'm working on today is removing this old poly up here in the frame of the greenhouse. If you're wondering what that is, maybe you've seen it in other videos. I used to start my plants about a month earlier, 3 weeks earlier than I do now. And because this greenhouse is so tall, it takes a lot more heat to fill this space. So on cold night, well, anytime the sun wasn't out, and especially on cold nights, I would pull this plastic over across the top to make like a false ceiling. This is about 11 feet off the ground versus 18 up there at the top where the ridge vent is. So I would pull this plastic over and make like a lower ceiling in here to conserve propane use. So since I no longer seed my tomatoes at the first of the year, which is typically when I seeded these and would set them in here at the first of February. But we're starting our plants about 3 weeks later now, and I haven't pulled that plastic over in probably 4 or 5 years. So that is the main reason I want to get it down. It's just no longer needed. The other reason is that it's collecting dust and dirt and probably blocking some of my light transmission coming through to get to my plants. So, and the third reason is because I have a small leaks across the frame of my greenhouse at the top on that side where the poly attaches to the frame. And when it rains really hard, a lot of the water gets captured in that loose poly up there, and it makes like it pools up in puddles in that plastic, and then it either spills over on us or onto the plants and just gonna make a big mess. So for those reasons, it needs to come down. I'm gonna cut it into small manageable chunks so I can pull it out of here and get it out of the greenhouse and hopefully not damage the plants in the process. So before I start removing chunks of poly 10 to 20 feet long, I haven't decided yet, there's several things I need to remove up here. One of them being these clips. They are what's holding the two pieces together in the center. So one piece goes that direction, one piece goes that direction, and so they don't pull apart in the center. This is what held it together. So we got one of these about every 5 feet all the way down. And then I also have pulling ropes that dangled down. That way when I was ready to close this at night or on really cold cloudy days when there was no sun out, I would just pull that rope and this poly would slide all the way over to create that false ceiling. And it's held together by these little clips that I picked up at Lowe's. They worked really well. So I probably got 20 of these, probably 10 or so on each side. So I'm going to remove all of these and all the ropes, throw them all down, and then I'll start cutting the poly and we'll see how the poly comes down. Hopefully I can manage to work it down without damaging the plants, but I'll probably have to wait until Emma's here tomorrow morning to help me pull it down. That way I can be up here and she can be down below, and we can make sure it lands in the aisleways and doesn't damage the plants. This is kind of a workout maneuvering my way through here. It's not as easy as it used to be when I was in my 30s and early 40s. But it doesn't bother me. I'll manage. I got the tail of it wrapped around the piece of cross brace here. Man, this is gonna take a while. And these ropes are kind of tangled up. I'm just gonna have to cut them. There, I got the two halves separated. So that's what I need to do all the way down. All right, I finally made it to the other end. and I just have a few more strings and clips to remove, and then I can start getting this poly cut into manageable chunks. Just look at how filthy that poly is and how thick it is. There's no way there's any sunlight getting through that. Yes, it was over in the middle, bunched up above the convection tube, but I bet you this poly has been creating some issues in here on these tomatoes, causing them to stretch more than I like. This variety here, Big Dina, they look short and stocky, just like I like to see. But this variety over here, Roboski, very vigorous, and they definitely were stretching in the other greenhouse. They'll be just fine. They just need to get established and rooted in, and I'm sure they're gonna turn out okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull this down myself. As long as I'm careful, I think it'll be all right. This was a real pain to put up. I remember how hard it was to feed up a 100-foot, probably 110-foot sheet across the entire top. I probably had 3 or 4 people helping me while I was up there pulling. Definitely a lot easier taking down than putting up. All right, that wasn't too bad. I think I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this poly myself, get it drug out of here, and then I'm going to take you down to our next greenhouse that we're going to be transplanting here sometime next week. It's the one I call the Grape tomato greenhouse. The plants are, oh, I don't know, 8 inches tall. They're getting close. But I got a few things I got to get ready down there before we can move the plants down and get them transplanted. All right, just finished up my lunch, and before I take you down to our Grape tomato greenhouse to show you what I'm working on down there, I want to talk to you a little bit about this greenhouse right here, the one we call our little house. Wow, the sun's making an appearance. Nice. So this greenhouse is the one we call our little house because it's only 21 feet wide instead of your standard 30-foot width. It is 96 feet long though. It didn't used to be. Originally, it was only 48 feet long, and it sat up where my basketball court is now on the other side of that red truck, and it was our sales house. When we used to have retail sales here on the farm, we grew bedding plants, annuals, perennials, hanging baskets, herbs, vegetable plants for gardeners, things like that. And then when we got out of doing that, we decided to move it down here, double the length, and grow hydroponic tomatoes in it because we were always short on hydroponic tomatoes. It has sat here for 10 years. That's when we put it up, or when we moved it and doubled the length of it. It follows the lay of the land. It's not on a level pad. It's like at least 2 feet higher at that end. So that does cause some issues when it comes to irrigating our tomatoes. So I've been thinking about this for about a year, and I want to run it by you folks. I don't think I need this greenhouse any longer because our tomato growing season is so short in there. It's the final one that we plant, and by the time we get into harvest, a few weeks after that, it's time to terminate them and move into our field tomatoes. There's just a whole lot of reasons why I don't really want to continue growing tomatoes in there, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But if I quit growing grape tomatoes down here, which I have talked about in the past, and grow all red round beefsteak style tomatoes down there, I think that will give me what I need. And then that would eliminate the need for having more tomatoes in this greenhouse. So I've been thinking about using this greenhouse as equipment storage. Let's go inside and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, this is a brand new heater. I just put it in last year or 2 years ago, so I would definitely keep that as a backup heater or a replacement for our seed starter house. So if I didn't grow in here, I would move all of these buckets and irrigation lines down to the grape house, so we didn't have to use perlite bags or coconut core bags down there. And I would remove all this ground cover and put fresh gravel in here, remove both end walls so I could just drive my tractor and wagons in here and park it to keep it out of the weather. Because a lot of times I don't have room in my barn for all of our wagons, my tractor, my green bean harvester if it happens to be over here. So it just makes sense to use this for something else if I don't really need it for tomatoes. So yeah, I would remove the end walls and just the entire tomato growing system in there, so I could just drive my tractor and equipment in there and it'd be a nice, safe, dry place for my equipment. Another dilemma that I'm facing right now is that this poly is going to be on year 10. I haven't inflated it for probably 3 years because there's so many holes in it, you can't inflate it. And I actually have 2 new rolls of 4-year poly to cover this greenhouse with that I purchased 3 years ago and just never got around to putting it on. So my wife wants me to sell this greenhouse, and I've thought about selling it as well. If I sell the greenhouse, I'd want those new rolls of poly to go with it. They would sweeten the deal. However, this poly has 10 years on it. I feel like I should be putting that new poly on this year to grow a better crop in here. So what I'm going to do to help me decide whether I should do that or not is I'm going to test the light with my PAR meter, with the Photone app on my phone, to see what the PAR reading is. If I'm getting 300 to 350 units of light with my PAR meter, I think it's probably good enough. But I'm sure there's a lot of light transmission being blocked from this 10-year-old poly. It can't be that good. It just can't be. But I'm going to test that out and see what it is. But if I decide to keep the greenhouse, I'll put like a white or beige or gray covering over it, a heavier duty woven cover, and kind of like a hoop shed that farmers use for storing equipment in. That's kind of what I'm thinking about using this greenhouse for. But for this year, we're growing tomatoes in it. And it may be the final year. I don't know yet. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Should I continue growing tomatoes in here? Should I turn it into a storage shed for my equipment and tractors? Or should I just sell it? I don't know, a lot of options. But for this year, we are going to be growing determinate field tomatoes in these buckets to see how they perform. But I just don't know what to do about the poly. I'll probably end up leaving this poly on here because I'd hate to rip it off, put new poly on, and then decide that I'm using it as storage and need to put something else over the top of it, or I sell it and then that poly's wasted. So decisions. I'm sure I'll figure it out, but I would be interested in seeing what you folks think in the comments. Okay, down here at our grape tomato greenhouse, and it has been raining a lot, and I have a feeling there's going to be water inside standing right in front of the door. Yeah, see this wet muddy spot? It's kind of a low spot. When I had this pad built for this greenhouse, I should have had a little swale put right here. So I'm going to have to bring my backhoe over here and create just a little bit of a swale so the water can flow out to the field that way, and maybe even down that way. There's a natural swale right there. So the water's coming down my driveway and it's getting trapped and sitting right here, and it's really soft and muddy. And when it rains really hard, it comes in right here. So I'm going to need to rip this ground cover up and put some fresh gravel here and put it back down. And I think that'll solve that problem. You can see it even finds its way into a low spot right there. And weeds start growing and popping up between the seams and the ground cover because I didn't overlap it right. So I want to get all these weeds out of here. And I'm going to flush these lines and let them soak overnight with some oxidate in the lines so me and Emma can check these drippers tomorrow morning. And then after I get that finished, I got these grow bags. These are perlite grow bags. I've only used these one other time, actually in the other greenhouse we were just in, the little house, about 9-10 years ago. So normally I have cocoa core grow bags down here, but this year we're using perlite grow bags. So we need to bring in all of these bags, lay them down over the top of these holes. So these holes you see here burnt in the ground cover is where we planted our very first tomato crop in here 6 years ago. And they didn't do well. There's a lot of clay and rocks under there, not a lot of good topsoil. So we started growing them hydroponically by putting cocoa core bags here. This year we're using the perlite bags, and we're gonna cut 3 holes in each bag. One on each end and one in the middle. So we'll just cut an X, and then we'll be able to fold that open and set our 4-inch cube right in on top of the perlite. And then a dripper stake, just like any other greenhouses, will go right into the 4-inch block to keep it watered and fed. So the grape tomatoes will have 3 plants per bag, but over here on these 3 rows, there's 6 rows in here, 3 for grape tomatoes, 3 for regular red round determinate tomatoes that just like the ones we grow in our fields. For these 3 rows, we're only gonna be cutting 2 holes in each bag. So probably like right there and maybe right here. I want to give them about 2-foot space between each plant because determinate tomatoes really bush out and get overcrowded. Last year we did 3 per bag over here and it was just far too crowded. So we're going to do 2 per bag this year, and we're going to be stringing them up with the Florida weave with these T-posts. So I'm pretty excited to see how our determinate tomatoes will perform with only 2 tomatoes per bag instead of 3. I think they'll do really well. All right, I have my billow pumps turned off, and I don't want irrigation 1 to come on in here in this greenhouse. So we're going to turn on number 4 and then run down to the grape tomato house to see how disgusting the water is coming out of the feed line. All right, any second we should get some water coming out of here. Yeah, check that out. Holy moly, that's what's inside the main line. That is horrible. And I flushed that out to be crystal clear last fall. Incredible. So as soon as that clears up, then I will turn on each individual line and we'll flush them out at the other end as well. So you can see it's already starting to clear up a little bit. Still pretty murky. It's easier to see how dirty it is when you put it in a clear container. It's still cold, so I don't even think it's gotten the water from the blue feed tank yet. You know, it's got a long way to travel to get to here. It's getting better. Still a lot of junk. All right. It's getting a lot better now. Now I'm turning on each individual line to flush them out next. All right, now we're flushing each individual line, and they look pretty good. Wow. I mean, it looks like a little bit of gunk came out in the very beginning, but for the most part, these look really good. Yeah, not bad. A few particles in there. All right, now I want to cap them all off and pressurize them to force some of that oxidate water into those woodpecker drippers so I can let them set overnight and hopefully break any of the deposits free that are in them, and they'll hopefully all flow tomorrow morning when we check them. All right, this entire greenhouse has been flushed and pressurized, and as I look around on the ground cover, I'm seeing a lot of wet spots, which means a lot of them are flowing. That is good news. But tomorrow morning, Emma will be here to help me repair any plug drippers and to carry in the 160 perlite grow bags. Boy, those clouds look ominous. I've noticed the last few days that my plastic's blowing around a lot more than it should. That should be tight like a balloon. So there's either a hole somewhere that I have not seen that needs patched, or my inflator right over here in the corner is not blowing air like it should be. Definitely need to figure out what's going on there, because that'll wear your plastic out fast when it flaps in the wind like that. That should be tight. All right, getting all the plastic drug out of here. And as I look up, I can't believe how open and bright it looks now without this plastic up there. That is awesome. That has to be good for the plants. It can't hurt, that's for sure. Alrighty folks, that's a wrap on this one. It won't be long until we're out there planting green beans and sweet corn. I can't wait. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And I will see you all again next time down on the farm.